Although after returning to Japan with Charlie, he must give him 90% of the shares, but this is much better than staying at the kennel to work. After Charlie came to the kennel, he instructed Mr. Orville, "Bring both Ichiro and Jiro." "Okay, master." Mr. Orville immediately ordered to go down, and soon, several of his men came over with brothers Ichiro and Jiro wearing work clothes. As soon as the two met at the door, Ichiro took advantage of the unpreparedness, rushed over and kicked Jiro out, and said in a curse, "You bastard, dare to show up in front of me." Jiro was kicked to the ground and hurriedly got up and rushed over to fight with him. He yelled, "You bastard, I must kill you." Ichiro is not to be outdone. "Come on, let's see who kills who. I will blow your head with a punch." Mr. Orville's men hurriedly separated the two and kept them under control. One of them yelled, "What the hell is this all FCK? Just be honest with me. Otherwise, there will be good-looking ones from both of you later." The two of them didn't dare to make any trouble, and were led into the room one after another. Charlie sat on the chair of the Grand Master, looked at the brothers with interest, and said with a smile, "Two, how are you doing these days?" When the two saw Charlie, they all knelt in front of him. Ichiro said excitedly, "Master, you are finally here. I have been waiting for you to come back these days, so I can follow you to Japan. 90% of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals shares will be transferred to you." Jiro said hurriedly, "Master, don't believe this bastard. He is a natural rebellious person and he is not a good person at all. Choose me. If you take me back to Japan, I will give you 95% of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Ichiro was crazy and he blurted out, "Jiro, you Abner who murdered, dare you to say that I was born with a bone?" Jiro ignored him and looked at Charlie and pleaded, "Master, I don't ask for anything else. You only need to leave me 2 shares, and I will give you the remaining 98%. Please, take me. Take me back to Japan." Ichiro next gritted his teeth. "Master, if you take me back, 99% of the shares will be given to you." Jiro collapsed and shouted, "Master, I will give you everything. You only need to save me some real estate and pay me a salary." Charlie looked at the two brothers vying for freedom with interest, and smiled faintly. "Okay, don't chat here anymore. I always count my words. Last time I promised Ichiro to take him back. He will give me 90% of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals shares, so naturally I will not break my promise." After that, he looked at Ichiro who was ecstatic, and said, "Ichiro, you prepare. Let's set off in the next 2 days." Ichiro was trembling with excitement, and when he knocked Charlie 3 times in a row, he said excitedly, "Thank you, master. Thank you, master." Jiro almost collapsed, crying and said, "Master, please take me back. I am willing to do anything you ask me." Charlie said indifferently, "Well, Jiro, how about you, just stay here honestly. Here you can eat, drink, and live. You don't have to worry about anything. If your brother is not obedient, he naturally will be sent back to replace you." Jiro fell into despair. Will he wait until the year of the monkey? On the side, Ichiro seemed to be reborn, and he asked Charlie excitedly, "Master, when are we going to leave?" Charlie waved his hand. "Tomorrow." Ichiro was excited when he heard that Charlie would take him back to Japan tomorrow, but then he felt nervous again. He looked at Charlie and asked in a low voice, "Master, how can I convince the public when I return to Japan like this? Everyone thinks that I killed my father, and they all think I'm dead. Suddenly going back, I am afraid it will be difficult to inherit Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Charlie smiled and said, "Isn't this a trivial matter?" After finishing speaking, he immediately beckoned to Orville. "Mr. Orville, arrange for someone to prepare a video camera and shoot a video of confession for Jiro to let him admit that he poisoned and killed his father, and then offered a huge reward for his brother. Human head in order to achieve the goal of monopolizing Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." When Jiro heard this, he felt as if the sky had fallen, crying and said, "Master, you can't do this. Didn't you say that if my eldest brother behaves badly, just change me back? You let me now plead guilty. How can I go back in the future?" Charlie said coldly, "What are you afraid of? You brothers will record a video of confessing guilt alone later. If your brother is in charge, you will be in charge. If you are in charge, let your brother be in charge. Is this not perfect?" Both Jiro and Ichiro are full of despair, now that Charlie is really going to die. However, they are also very clear that their current life and death are in Charlie's hands. If they really fight against him, they are likely to suffer a disaster. So the two of them could only nod their heads honestly, and the people arranged by Orville took them to the empty room next door to shoot the video. Charlie called Mei-ching's son Paul at this time and asked him as soon as he came up, "Paul, do you have time in the next few days?" Paul hurriedly said, "Mr. Charlie, what are your orders?" Charlie said, "It's the thing I told you before. You will accompany me to Japan to resolve the issue of the transfer of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals shares and complete the relevant legal procedures." "No problem," Paul said immediately. "When is the specific departure time?" "I can arrange what I have at hand, and then I can go with you," Charlie said with a smile. "Tomorrow, let's go early and return early." "Okay," Paul said, "then let me book the ticket. Who are you with?"